Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open eCry market commentary for the week of May 20th. My name is Toby Gennaro from Trade with Precision, and just coming to you with the outlook for the markets this week. Here we're looking at ES futures contract representing the S&P 500, so really looking at the index for the big cap stocks, and just going from the top down, look at some of the higher time frame charts. Not a whole lot new here on the monthly chart. Just got, we're basically 3/4 of the way through the month of May. I've got a huge candle there. Things are looking just really bullish as ever. And so the markets continue to move higher since we got this nice bullish candle here in the setup zone way back when. We've had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 months of just straight upward movement, higher highs, higher lows. All the moving averages across all the higher time frames continue to be in an upward pattern, all in order, all fanning out. We've got a little overextension here on the weekly chart. So in coming down to some of the lower time frames, looking to follow this trend to the upside. We don't have a huge amount of overextension here on the daily chart, but we've just had almost it's almost about 10 or so days of the latest run. And most of these runs don't tend to last more than 10 to 15 days. So be looking for some kind of a pullback here, at least into the moving averages on the daily chart or even on the 480. So we're looking right here. Looks like we're getting another sideways consolidation. The moving averages appear to be catching up to the price, which means we'll probably get a sideways consolidation and then we'll move higher again. And so let's go down to some of the lower time frames, see if there are any trade setups here based on what we're teaching in the advanced course, looking for some of those momentum breakout trades and some of those trend flow setups. So looking at the 240 right here, ever so slight divergence with with a couple of highs, new highs here, but pretty strong trend in the higher time frame. We'll probably push on higher again. Got some pretty strong divergence here on the 120 and the 60. Yeah, we're basically going back up and hitting in new highs again, starting to converge again on the indicators. But if we look here, we've got basically just a sideways consolidation on the 120, sideways consolidation across the 60-minute chart down to the 15. And so it really looks like we're at least going to be pushing up, back up to that 65, 66 level, at least have some kind of a reversal pattern in place before any of this divergence sets in. So we need to actually put in a new high before we could claim any divergence on any of these charts. But more than likely, we'd start to see some divergence setting up on the smaller time frames, which might give us a clue. But overall, when the market's in a strong uptrend, can really blow through a lot of divergence, and that's what it's been doing. And so I'd look to stay long these markets, and that's kind of what we're doing, looking for these pullbacks. We've got a nice setup candle right here in the buy zone on the 60, and if we get a break of that high, which is right around 1664.25, more than likely we'll be putting in a new high. So in looking at that, have a nice little bullish candle, nice tight small bullish candle right around the in and around the 10-20 period moving average buy zone. So any break of that candle above, again, 1664.25 would signal on a couple of charts here, 120 and the 60, another move back up to at least the 1666 level, if not breaking out to a new high. So things are looking really bullish here, unless there's some really bad news that comes out this week that takes the market down. We'd be looking for pullbacks into some of these different levels here, like 1633 would probably be the best first level that would come into play. So it just really depends on what the news is and what that pullback will be. But we're certainly looking for those pullbacks on the higher time frames back into the moving average buy zone, and then looking for that setup candle, and then looking to go long again and stick with this trend at the top side. So overall, things are looking great for a long play on the big cap stocks, and just looking to stay with this trend, see if we can find some of those setups. If you haven't taken the advanced course, check out the website, and we'll teach you a couple of trade strategies to get you locked in on some additional things you can add to your bag. Moving over then to the small cap stocks, looking at the Russell 2000 contract, the futures contract, and again on the higher time frames here, really nice bullish candle there left over from last month. We broke the high of that. Back off to the races again, got some decent overextension there from the moving averages on a pretty high time frame, which is fairly common. Yeah, okay extension here on the weekly chart. Everything's moving up really nice. Just a lot of nice size candles, just pullbacks to support levels, and then just accelerating again out of that buy zone and in amongst 10, 20 period moving average. But all the moving averages in alignment, fanning out to the top side. Small caps are looking really strong here on the daily chart. Just same thing on the ES. We just had a number of days here, weeks, where we've just been just moving up in kind of a straight line with no pullback. So we're gonna have to get a pullback here sometime. The 951 support level is probably the most solid level, but obviously we're pretty far above beyond that, so it would be quite a big pullback. But then again, it'll probably happen on some bad news if we get that. But then again, it'll be a pullback right back into the buy zone on the daily chart, and then right up against a solid level of support where we could anticipate then a lot of buy orders accumulating right there, and then looking to take it at least back up to the high there of 996. Looking at the 480 chart. Don't really have a whole lot there. We have a couple levels right in around 980, 973. In case we don't, on a pullback, we don't get all the way back to that 951 level. A couple other levels there we can take a look at, depending upon on what the price action looks like this week. But for right now, just looking for a trade setup on some of these lower time frames. We got some nice small bullish candles here. Not really pulled back into the buy zone. A little bit too high for my taste, but we have some right in here around the 10 period moving average. A nice little bullish candle right there, and then we have a couple of nice bullish candles right smack in the buy zone right here. So if we can get a break of that level at right around what the high is, 993.30, and then this one is 993.40. So basically a break of the high of this grouping of candles right here would get us potentially up to another high, and then you probably see some sell orders accumulating up around that 1,000 level, which is just, a big number. So look out for some of those levels. I've got some trades here setting up on the 60-minute chart and the 120. Really looks like a sideways consolidation here as we move down in the time frames, looking to at least punch back up to that 996 level. So I'd keep an eye out for some of that. We really don't have a lot of divergence here on some of these charts, so things are looking pretty good and pretty strong. So I'd really stay with the uptrend here. Then looking at a final foreign currency pair here, looking at the dollar yen. On some of the higher time frames, you see we have just a huge move here based on really just a lot of yen weakness, more so than dollar strength. But on the dollar index, it looks like we've got a little momentum moving to the upside. We're up at a resistance level right now with the U.S. dollar, but with the weakness of the yen, looks like we're still going to be pushing higher here as you move through some of these charts. Everything's looking really strong. Nice pullbacks, just nice consistent buying pressure to the top side. Getting a nice candle there on the daily chart in and around that 10-20 period moving average. But all the moving averages look great from the weekly on down. The 480 looks great, and we have a great bullish candle set up right there in the buy zone. If we can get a break of that high right around 102.92, looks like we'll be moving potentially up to a new high. Don't really have any divergence here on these time frames, so things are looking pretty good on the 480. Move down to the 240, everything fanning, nice movement, higher highs, higher lows, everything looking pretty good. Big candle here on the on this pullback, but nevertheless, if we get a break of that high at 102.92, looks like we could potentially move up and put in a new high. So you got the same setup across the board on the 120. And then on the 60-minute chart. So as you go lower down in the charts, that candle starts to get a little bit bigger, which is not optimal. We usually want to be trading on smaller candles, but right around the 240 and the 480, things look pretty good. It's a reasonable candle on some higher time frames, and you could potentially get a nice run out of that. So looking to be long here on the dollar yen, and got a nice trend flow set up there on some of the intermediate time frames like the 480 and the 240. So take a look at that. If you've seen the advanced course and you've taken that and you know how to trade the trend flow strategy, that could be a decent one right there. So in any event, things are looking very bullish on the dollar yen. So definitely stick with the uptrend and look for some of the pullbacks within those buy zones, or look for some of the flat level breaks if you can find them this week. So there's the outlook for the markets this week. We'd like to thank you for watching the Open Equine Market Commentary for the week of May 20th, and we do look forward to speaking to you next week on the Market Update.